So today's lesson is going to be on operations on decimals. So our learning goal for today is by the end of the lesson you'll be able to carry out addition, subtraction, multiplication and division on decimal numbers. Okay, so we're going to start off with adding and subtracting decimals. So to add and subtract decimals, the first thing you need to do is write the decimal points one under another. So when you do that, it will align each of your digits according to their place value, and that will help you keep track of it all. So for instance, we've got 1.68 plus 32.091. So the first step is to write them with the decimal points one under another. So 1.68 plus 32.091. So you can see there the decimal points are one under another, and that allows us to put all the place values together. So we'll start off. If you want, you can put a 0 here just to make it easy. You don't have to, just so you can keep it all aligned. So 0 plus 1 is 1, 9 plus 8 is 17, carry the 1, 6 plus 1 is 7. We're going to keep that decimal point all in a line, so we know our decimal point goes there. 2 plus 1 is 3, and 3 plus 0 is 3. So our answer is 33.771. Okay. So powers of 10. So when you multiply by a power of 10, the decimal point moves to the right the same number of places as there are zeros in the multiplier. So a power of 10 is like 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and so on. So they're all powers of 10, and it's quite easy to do. So for instance, our first one is 12.788. We're going to multiply that by 100. So our multiplier is 100. You can see there, and we're going to move the decimal point to the right the same number of places that there are zeros in the multiplier. So there's 2 zeros in 100, so we're going to move our decimal point two places to the right. So it'll go 1, 2. So our answer will be, clear that, make that a bit clearer. Here we go. So I'm moving our decimal place 2 points to the right, so it leaves us with an answer of 1278.8 because you've moved that decimal point 2 places to the right because there's 2 zeros in 100. Our second example, we've got 56.29 multiplied by 1,000. So you can see there our multiplier is 1,000 and there's 3 zeros in 1,000, so we're going to move our decimal point 3 places to the right. So 56, and we're going to move it 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 2, 9, 0. So our answer there is 56,290. You can see we moved that decimal point 3 places to the right, so it would actually be here, 0.00, etc. But we don't write that, so we can just write our answer as 56,290. Okay, so similar rule when dividing by powers of 10. So this time, instead of moving our decimal point to the right, we're doing division, so we'll move our decimal point to the left. So when we divide by powers of 10, the decimal point moves to the left the same number of places as there are zeros in the divisor. So our first one is 295.77 divided by 10. So there's 1 zero in 10, so we move our decimal point 1 place to the left. So it'll jump there, and our answer would be 29.577. Our second one, we've got 11.01 divided by 100, 2 zeros in our divisor, so our decimal point moves 2 places to the left, 1, 2, so our answer will be 0.1101. So if your answer is a decimal number, just make sure you write the 0 point, don't just write point whatever, make sure you always put the 0 first, just for clarity. That's just conventional way to do it. Okay. Multiplication of decimals. So there's a few more steps in this. It's not quite as simple as multiplying by powers of 10. The first thing we do is we initially ignore the decimal point. So I know that's a little bit weird, so I'll set out our answer. So we'll use the example 23.07 multiplied by 3.2, and initially we're going to ignore the decimal place. So I'll write it out, 2307. So you can see that I've just kind of forgotten about the decimal point. We will bring it in later, but for the moment, just leave it out there. So the next thing I do is carry out routine multiplication. So 2 times 7 is 14, carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Add my 0 there. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry the 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 3 times 3 is 9. And 3 times 2 is 6. Then I can add those answers together. I'm kind of running out of space, so you should add them together below, but I'm just going to do it on the side here. Bad practice, but I've just run out of space there. So 4 plus 0 is 4, 1 plus 1 is 2, 6 plus 2 is 8, 9 plus 4 is 13, carry the 1, 6 plus 1 is 7. So that's my answer there. The next thing you do is put the decimal point back into your answer. So where do you put it? Well, the number of decimal places in the answer must be equal to the total number of decimal places in the question. So in my question, I had 2 decimal places there and 1 decimal place there. So that's a total of 3 decimal places. So in my answer, I put in 3 decimals. So you can see 1, 2, 3 decimals in my answer, 3 decimals in the question. So my answer becomes 73.824. So that's how we carry out multiplication of decimals. First, we ignore the decimal point, carry out routine multiplication, and the last thing we do is put the decimal back in, and the number of decimal places in our answer is going to be the same as there are in the question. Okay, so dividing decimals. So the decimal point in the quotient goes directly above the decimal point in the dividend. So you're probably thinking, what? So here I've set it all out. So the dividend is the number that you're dividing. The divisor is what you're dividing it by, and the quotient is your answer. So obviously 108 divided by 9 equals 12. 108 is your dividend, 9 is your divisor, and 12 is your quotient. So we're going to set out our answer here. Our dividend goes here, which is 102.35, and our divisor goes here. So then we can just carry out routine division. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. That can't be done, so we carry our 2 over. 23 divided by 5 is 4. Carry the 3, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. So then, as it says there, the decimal point in the quotient, which is our answer, goes directly above the decimal point in our answer. So that will leave us with an answer of 24.7. So you can see I've kept the decimal points in line there, which helps to keep our units correct, our place values correct, I should say. So if the divisor is a decimal, so remember the divisor is what you're dividing it by. So you can see there our divisor is a decimal. So if your divisor is a decimal, we change it to a whole number by multiplying it by a factor of 10. So remember our factors of 10 are 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, etc. And remember, whatever we do to the divisor, we also must do to the dividend. So whatever we do to this number, we also have to do to this number, and this number. And that way, it's easier for us to actually do the division by hand without using a calculator, and the answer is actually the same. If you don't believe me, type it into your calculator and you'll see that the answer is the same. So our first one there is 2.5 divided by 0.5. So we're going to change it to a whole number. So to do that, the easiest way is just to multiply by 10. So that will change it to 25 divided by 5. So you can see I've multiplied by 10, so I've moved my decimal point 1 place to the right on both my numbers. And then I can set it out like normal and do my division. And my answer is 5. So equals 5. So 2.5 divided by 0.5 is 5, and 25 divided by 5 is also 5. Check it in your calculator if you don't believe me. So for the second one, we can look down here and we see our divisor is a decimal, 0.03. So we're going to multiply it by a factor of 10, which is going to be 100. So we'll move our decimal place 2 points, and that will give us a whole number. So that way we have 6,413.7. So 6,413.7, and we're going to divide that by 3. Sorry. I'll just rub that out, and we're going to divide it by 3. go. So we can set it up like a normal division. 6,413.7 divided by 3. And remember, we're going to keep our decimal points in line. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 4 divided by 3 is 1 with 1 remaining. 11 divided by 3 is 3 with 2 remaining. 23 divided by 3 is 7 with 2 remaining. And 27 divided by 3 is 9. And you can see I've kept my decimal points in line. So my answer is 2,137.9. Check those in your calculators, but the easiest way is to just turn your divisor into a whole number by multiplying it by a factor of 10. Okay, so we've just got a few more examples here to do. We'll work through these for a start. So the first one is an addition. We've got 45 plus 0.03 plus 1.004. So when we're doing addition and subtraction, remember we have to keep all our decimal points in a line so we can hold those place values. So 45, we're going to add 0.03. So just remember 45 is the same as like 45.00. You don't have to write in the zeros if you don't want to, but if it helps you keep track of those place values, go for it. And 1.004. So from there you can just do your addition as normal. Those are zeros, by the way. So 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 4. 0 plus 3 plus 0 is 3. 0. Put a decimal point there, make sure they're all in a line. 5 plus 1 is 6. 4 plus nothing is 4. So our answer is 46.034 there. I'm just going to clear these and use the same page there. So clear that. And now we've got 7 minus 0.11. Remember, when we're doing subtraction, we're going to keep our decimal places all in a line. So 7, which you can write the zeros in just to keep it clear for yourself, take 0.11. So 0 take 1 we can't do. There's nothing to borrow next to it either, so we have to go all the way to 7, make that a 6, 10, and borrow 1 there, make it a 9, 10. So 10 take 1 is 9, 9 take 1 is 8, keep our decimal points in line, 6 take 0 is 6. So our answer is 6.89. Okay, the third one we've got there is a multiplication. So when we do multiplication, remember, we first write it out without the decimal point. So we just kind of forget about them for a start. Then we just carry out, oh, sorry, someone's trying to call me. Okay, so then we'll just carry out our normal multiplication. So 7 times 6, 36 plus 42, carry the 4. So 7 times 5 is 35, plus 4 is 39. Our 0 there. 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. We can do our addition. 2, 9 plus 8 is 17, carry the 1. 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we've got an answer there, but now we have to put our decimal place in. So our decimal place, remember, however many decimals are in the question, there has to be in the answer. So in our question, we've got 1, 2 decimals, so 2 decimals in our answer. So our answer is going to be 20.72. Okay, our last question there is a division. So we're dividing by a decimal here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to multiply by 100 so that we're no longer dealing with a decimal and make it a bit easier for ourselves. So we're going to we're going to multiply by 100. So we now have 6,253.14 being divided by 3. So that makes it a little bit easier for ourselves. So 6 divided by 3 is going to give us 2. 2 divided by 3 we can't do, so we're going to carry our 2 over here. 25 divided by 3 is going to give us 8, with 1 left over. 13 divided by 3 is going to give us 4, with 1 left over. Keep our decimal point all in a line. 11 divided by 3 is going to give us 3, with 2 left over. And 24 divided by 3 is going to give us 8. So our answer there is going to be 2,084.38. hopefully you follow that through. There we go, I'll clear that one. And that's all we've got for today's video. So just have a go doing some of these in your textbook. As I said, I think most of you have probably done these in grade 7 or possibly even earlier, but it's good to just remind yourself and keep abreast of them all. So if you have any problems at all, please make sure you do ask me for help. I'm more than happy to help you out in class.